Well, good morning. It is Friday morning, baby. We finally made it to the end of the week. It's Friday. Hey, what? All right, we are in Proverbs chapter 13, and there's a lot of reiteration from chapters 10, 11, and 12, and 13. And so the things that I wanted to highlight this morning, right out of the gate, he says, a wise son hears his father's instruction, but a scoffer does not listen to rebuke. We talked about that yesterday pretty much at length. But on the front end of this chapter, he starts again expressing the importance of what we say, how we say it, being able to receive instruction, being able to receive discipline. When we get out of line, someone's got to get us back in line. If you never receive discipline, you don't know you're out of line. You can't get back in line if you're wandering around out there doing crazy stuff willy-nilly, and no one is correcting you and helping you get back in place. Verse 14, the teaching of the wise is a fountain of life, that one may turn away from the snares of death. There are people in our lives that are wiser than us. They may not even be older than us, but they're wiser than us. And there is nothing wrong with getting good counsel. As a matter of fact, this entire book of Proverbs talks about seeking out wise counsel. If you're going to buy a car, you should get with some people who have recently purchased cars. You should get with some people who know things about cars. I know a lot about cars. My dad knows a lot more. And so anytime I'm making any kind of a car-related decision, even when I'm working on a car, and I have worked on a lot of cars, and I have fixed a lot of cars, he knows a lot more than I do. So I'm often on the phone with him halfway through it. Hey, this is my situation. What would you do in this situation? Or have you done this before? And if you have, how'd you work through it? And so always seeking out wisdom from other people is the way to go. The reason why we as Christians go to church is because we're able to surround ourselves with other Christians who are seeking God out. Our church leaders should be those who are seeking out the wisdom of God and spending time with Him daily and then bringing that back to us. But that does not mean they're perfect. That does not mean they've got it all figured out. They are just like you and me. They are pilgrims on a journey. And so we have got to remember that even though we're seeking out the counsel of wise people, those people don't have it all figured out. They just have a little bit further down the path than you do for that particular scenario. And again, that doesn't mean they're necessarily older than you or me. It just means they've been down that path further than you have. When I was in the Army, there were people that far outranked me that were younger than me. I was old when I went in. I was 24 when I enlisted. And so there were people who were younger than me that were further along, higher ranking than me, further along than me, who knew things that I didn't know because they'd already gone through that. They had more wisdom in that area than I did. And it was smart of me to adhere to what they knew rather than try and operate off of what I knew. And then in verse 20, and this is where I just camped out. Whoever walks with the wise becomes wise. One sentence, half of the verse. Whoever walks with the wise becomes wise. When we first moved from Miami to Tennessee, we got to Tennessee, it was, boy, you talk about culture shock. I went from concrete and beaches and living in a high-end community with people who had all different kinds of life goals and priorities and things like that to the holler of the mountains of Tennessee with people who were mountain people. And their biggest thing was, are my cows and my hogs and my goats and my hay going to be all right while I'm at school? And there's nothing wrong with that. It was just a totally different type of person. And so I stood out, man. I stood out like crazy. I had long hair. We had just left Miami, Florida. I did not fit in there at all. I quickly learned how to, kind of become like a chameleon and do what I had to do, but I did not fit in there well at all. Then we left there and moved to South Georgia, right down the road where my office is, Nashville, Georgia, Berrien County. And the people that befriended me right out of the gate, I had a couple friends that ultimately became my better friends. they had some fairly decent head on their shoulders, but the majority of the people that befriended me were the slackers. They were the ones who didn't care about making good grades. They were just there to cut up and have a good time and waste 4 years and spend the rest of their life at the mill. Wasn't the best plan. The mill shut down. But so by default, I started hanging around with unwise people, people that didn't want to do well. It wasn't until I failed the 9th grade and failed the 10th grade, and you've heard my testimony, a coach came in and really pushed me to do well, my football coach, and my 11th and 12th grade year was a whole different thing. I started dating a girl in the 11th grade that was a straight A student, and her and all her straight A friends would get together and have these study sessions. I'm like, wait a minute, you do what? You, on purpose, your idea of a social get-together is you bring your homework and you guys all sit around the table and do your homework together? What's wrong with you people? Yeah, well, then when I sat around that table, guess what happened? My grades started coming up. Whoever walks with the wise becomes wise. If you want to make good grades, hang out with the kids that make good grades. Find out how they're making good grades. Now, some of those kids are just prodigies. Our oldest daughter, Allison's that way. She came out of the womb just sharp as a tack, intelligent as she can be. So, yeah, you can hang out with somebody like that. But for those kind of people, they just are like sponges. They just soak it in, they get it, and it sticks. But for people probably like you and definitely like me, we have to work at it. But that doesn't mean it's not attainable. It just means you have to work at it. And so you surround yourself with people who are getting it done. And then you learn how to get it done. I would have never been able to go to college had I not started getting around those kind of kids. And when I got to college, I did the same thing. I replicated what I did in high school. I flunked out of college. After about, 2 years or so, they put me on academic probation. So I didn't flunk out. But they gave me some time off to think about my life. And it was a good time off. I was properly disciplined, which brought about the right change in my life and got me back in line. Whoever walks with the wise becomes wise. You know who I was surrounded by in college? Kids who were trying to get smarter, who were trying to learn more, who wanted to be able to prepare themselves for what they were going to do on the next level. I was surrounded by professors who, some of them were not that much older than me, but they had already earned their doctorate. And so they had learned far more than I had, and they had things to teach me. I worked multiple jobs and owned my own company while I was in college. And I learned from all those situations. Whoever walks with the wise becomes wise. If you're surrounding yourself with people who lack ambition, good morning, Danny, with people who do not desire to do more in their lives, then you will be someone who has very little ambition and you will not accomplish much in your life. And what a shame that God has blessed you with this life and you've chosen to do nothing with it. And so surround yourself with people that want to do more, and you will start doing more. Surround yourself with people that are successful, and you'll become more successful. You may not become as successful as them, but you'll learn how to be more successful. I am surprised daily how many people I meet that have no concept of what a financial personal budget is. They don't know how to budget their finances. They don't know how to budget their time. They don't know how to budget their life. And therefore, everything just happens when it happens. Good morning, Melina. If you do not get a proper hold on the things in your life, those things will get a hold on you. If you don't surround yourself with people who are wise, you will surround yourself with people who are unwise. And by default, those people will be your direct influence. So allow yourself to walk with those who are wise, and you will become more wise by default. Chapter 13, verse 20. That's where I camped out this morning. God bless you as you walk out this day, this Friday, and into this weekend, that you would seek out the wisdom of those around you and surround yourself with those who are wise. Love you, mean it. Bye.